Every customer experience matters.
Daniel Tsai is teaching his business students about customer service, a lesson he created after a recent experience with Air Canada.
It's all about trusting and respecting your customers.
He was traveling from Vancouver to Toronto, but his flight was overcrowded.
It was just pandemonium. There were people sitting on the floor. There were babies crying. The whole place was just full of people.
Tsai says he volunteered to give up his seat and take a later flight in exchange for a $600 voucher, which he says was increased to $800 later that day.
And I thought, wow, this is a great gesture by Air Canada. They stepped up. They're really rewarding people for voluntarily giving up their seats, as they should.
But when Air Canada emailed him the next day, it offered only a 15% discount off a future flight, not $800.
I think that's just wrong. As a business professor, I consider that to be a marketing fail. This is what you're not supposed to do when you treat customers.
After he pushed back in an email, Air Canada replied offering on an exceptional basis a $300 coupon as a goodwill gesture. But an expert in contract law says a verbal promise, in this case for $800, is a binding contract.
The airline offered up compensation. The passenger accepted it. It's not open to the airline to say, well, we don't really like that deal anymore, and so we'd like to change it.
This air passenger rights advocate says giving up your seat on an overcrowded flight can be risky.
I generally recommend passengers not to volunteer to give up their seats, because we hear too many cases like this one where passengers have difficulty then getting the compensation they were promised.
Air Canada declined an interview request, but after Go Public contacted the airline, it did send Daniel Tsai another voucher, this one for $500, adding up to the $800 he says he was owed. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.